Ever since the dawn of consciousness, mankind has looked towards the night sky to try and make sense of their place within the cosmos. The moon and the stars have held significant meaning to cultures all over the world. And during their observations of the night sky, people saw peculiar things that made them question the workings of the universe. Like the changing shapes of the moon, the formations of the stars, and even the glitterings of distant planets. But not many sights that you'll see in the night sky as exciting as witnessing a shooting star. People of the Catholic tradition believed shooting stars to be the tears of Saint Lawrence, the patron saint of comedy, I believe. He's a funny guy. Well, the Yolngu Aborigines believed that when they died, they were sent off on a mystical canoe. And upon landing safely in the afterlife, they'd send the canoe back in the form of a shooting star for their loved ones to see. But now, due to modern science, we know that shooting stars are in fact space debris. And the planet Earth, specified Earth, is actually hit by around 40,000 tons of space debris every year. As it turns out, wily craftsmen have been using this material for millennia. In fact, a ceremonial iron dagger, a bracelet, and a headdress were found in the tomb of the Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun, dating back to 1350 BC. And true facts, research has shown that the iron from these three objects actually belonged to at least 2 different meteorites, suggesting that there was an active search during ancient times for space metal. And if there was ever a jewelry making material that deserves an epic intro like this, it's space metal. So in case you haven't guessed it, in this video I'm going to make a ring out of meteorite and some sterling silver. So before we crack on, I just need to give a massive shout out to my mate Alex from Ringcraft UK for hooking me up with this beautiful piece of meteorite. I've wanted to use meteorite to make a ring for years, but I never knew where to source any, and then I stumbled across Alex's shop. Ringcraft UK has a great selection of ring making materials, pre-made metal ring cores, and inlay bits and bobs. And also Alex's customer service is fantastic. So please, I've left a link in the description to his shop. If you're looking for some cool ring making supplies, then go and check him out. So before we head into the workshop to play with some blow torches and some power tools, please give this video a little like for me. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithmic bits. So with that said, let's get on with the project. So Ringcraft UK was kind enough to send me a beautiful example of the Muonionalusta Meteorite, which is estimated to be about 4.5 billion years old. And so I really wanted to do the ring justice and make something really unique. So I decided that the inside will be made with sterling silver. I've really been enjoying silversmithing recently because, you know, there's barely anything more satisfying to me than melting pieces of metal together. But honestly, one of the most fun bits of the entire process is peeling the plastic layer off the sterling silver sheet. Ooh, dirty. When it was time, I went ahead and just got the ring ready for soldering. So, I mean, at this stage it looks pretty weird as it's not exactly ring shaped. It's more like a D shape. But that's fine because the next stage was to actually solder those seams together. This piece only required one soldered joint so I used easy silver solder to solder my seam. I fired up the blowtorch and got busy soldering. I just gradually heated the ring up until it was nice and hot, and then finally focused the flame over the solder until it melted down into like a liquid puddle over that seam. After soldering the ring, I put it into an acid solution called Pickle, which just cleans off all of the oxidization. Then I have to give a shout out to my cameraman Mike B Designs for his lovely B-roll while we waited for the ring to get cleaned off in the pickle solution. After about 20 minutes in the acid bath, the silver ring was ready for shaping and cleaning. So I just went ahead and hammered it out on a metal mandrel, used a ring sizer to get it to size, and then cleaned up the insides with a new little tool that I got for my Fordham flex shaft called a split mandrel. I found that using a bit of 500 grit emery paper in the split mandrel on the Fordham is a super efficient way to clean up the inside of rings and get a nice finish on there ready for polishing. And then finally I just went over with a rough polish called Tripoli with like a nylon brush on the Fordham, just to kind of get a nice shine to the inside before we moved on to the exciting stuff, which was machining the meteorite. Just checking in to see if you've liked this video yet. Come on, click the button. Okay guys, so this is a piece of the Muonionalusta Meteorite. It's an iron meteorite estimated to be 4.5 billion years old that is said to have entered the Earth's atmosphere 800,000 years ago. The awesome pattern you see there in the metal is not man-made. I didn't do that. It's actually crystalline structures that are formed over, well, millions of years as this metal flew through space and cooled down, and the minerals kamacite and tainite cooled at different rates that created this cool pattern known as the Widman-Starton pattern. Super interesting, super weird, and kind of reminds me of the Allspark from Transformers. Fragments of this meteorite were initially discovered in 1906 on a river bordering Sweden and Finland called the Muonio, hence the name the Muonionalusta Meteorite. It's world renowned for these gorgeous Widman-Starton structures. And what's crazy to me is that studies have shown that this meteorite is the oldest discovered meteorite to have impacted Earth. It's apparently part of the iron core or mantle of a planetoid, which shattered into many pieces upon falling onto our planet. Since hitting the Earth, it's actually survived 4 ice ages. I just find this material so fascinating, and my tiny human brain can't contemplate those timescales. It's just unfathomable. Having made the silver inside portion of the ring, I was able to take a digital caliper and measure the outside diameter of the silver ring so that I know what diameter to machine the inside of the meteorite to. 21.28. Oh, we're close. One more pass. I think it's a good job I checked it, isn't it? I didn't want to use any glue during the making of this ring, so I wanted it to be like a mechanical fit. So I really needed to machine that inner diameter down to, you know, a fraction of a millimeter. When the inside of the ring was done, I was able to swap my tools over and mount the ring onto an expanding ring mandrel, and then use some carbide cutting tools to zip down that outer diameter and put bevels on the outer edges. And you notice that as I machined it, it starts to just look like a normal piece of steel or metal. After the cutting tools, I just went over with a good few grits of sandpaper to just sand off any machining marks and leave a nice smooth finish, and shape those edges of the ring so it'd be comfortable to wear. After a thorough sanding, I used a polishing compound and a rotary tool just to bring the ring to a nice shine, ready to bring out those beautiful woodman starting patterns. In order to reveal the crystalline structures of the woodman starting pattern, you need to etch the meteorite in an acid. In this case, I used ferric chloride, and I left it in there for about 20 minutes to do its work. What's it gonna look like? Ooh. To neutralize the acid, I just bathed the ring in a solution of baking soda and water. And if I'm honest, I hope that there'd be a bit more of an aggressive chemical reaction with lots of bubbles, but it honestly wasn't that dramatic. I gave the ring a good buffing with another polishing compound on my rotary tool, and then I was able to check out those beautiful patterns in the meteorite. Absolutely unreal. With both pieces of the ring made, it was time to assemble them. As I mentioned earlier, I wanted it to be a mechanical fit with no glue involved, so I was able to press them together and then use my ring expanding tool to kind of size the silver up until it was a super tight fit with the meteorite. And this is what I was left with. Being a perfectionist is part of my job, so at this stage I did a lot more polishing and sanding and filing just to kind of make sure that the ring was perfect. Then I took some snazzy photos on my DSLR, and oh my word, am I in love with this ring. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed the video. Please like the video. If you'd like to see more content from my channel, then I'd love for you to subscribe. Massive thank you again to Alex from Ringcraft UK and my cameraman Mike B Designs for the camera work. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.